Hey everyone, welcome to the Healing is Revolutionary YouTube series. It is Lo reporting with the lovely Diana.
Hello, hello.
I'm so excited you're here, excited for you to share your story and just your experience. Um, like with the other girls, maybe we can just start off by you just telling us a little bit about yourself and why you decided it was time to journey back to self.
Sure. So, my name is Diana. I'm born and raised and currently reside in Chicago.
Mhm.
Um, let's see why I chose to start the journey. I feel like it was already like happening slowly. So I was in California for 3 years. And I felt like there was a lot of growth there. When I moved out there, I was 23, 24. So when I came back, I was like 27. Um, And I ended up moving back because my mom got sick. And so I came here to help my sisters and things and whatnot. And I technically have been quote unquote like a little more different than the rest of my family. And so I knew that me telling them like I wanted to like do like a healing or things like that, like they really wouldn't understand it because
Mm.
for me it's more spiritual than religion. So I was raised Catholic. And so for them, it's all like it's how the institution of Catholicism works. And though there's just things that don't, me and Catholicism just don't align. And so I was like, I know that I can't, like, trying to go the church way wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
And so one of my really good friends from Boston, she ended up forwarding me a link of the 3-day challenge that you do on YouTube, no, not YouTube, on Facebook.
Yeah.
And since the first day, I like just loved how you express yourself and like what you're talking about. I was like, wow, like this is like something that like I feel I can connect with. Um, and so I was like, it's time to go a little bit deeper. Like I'm a person that I know what needs to get done. When it's time to get it done, I like need that extra push, that accountability that I hey, come on, like you just need to do it.
Mm,
And so I needed that extra support, and that is what the journey back to self was.
mhm,
Um, Even though it would still he still gave us like leeway of like you are where you're supposed to be at, like there's no rush, don't feel guilty like you didn't complete everything. um but it still was that push that I needed in order to really start digging deeper, because I feel like I was like probably making like a little tiny dent, but it was like, okay, we're trying to go in super deep. And that is the reason why I chose to do the journey.
yeah. What were some things before you joined that was up for you?
What do you mean?
Like, what was up for you as far as like things that you wanted to change? Like, what was up in your life? Like, why?
Mm,
Um, what in specific was like, I really want to go deep here, maybe. Like, I
mhm.
want to go deep here to change this. Like,
Yeah,
what were one or two things that was up?
so I feel the thing that centers it all is finding that true self-love, of being able to truly love and accept who I am. Um,
Mhm.
because till this day, I'm still, working towards it. I seek outside validation because I don't think that my own validation is enough. And that was something that that I wanted to break, and I still want to break, um, because I know that has such a huge effect, and it's been a chain that has been passed down, um, from my mom to my sisters to me. And the one thing that I do want is whenever it is my turn, if and when to birth my own bloodline, I don't want that for any of my children. Um, and also even my nieces and nephews, I try to, especially with my nieces, the oldest one, she kind of has that. And I don't want that for her because I know the damage that it causes. And I just want her to be different. I want her to be able to explore like this life. very confident of herself and being okay if she messes up or if like other people don't agree with her, but for her to be like, you know what, I know who I am, I know what I want, and it's fine. um and even though I want that for her, that's what I want for me.
Ashay.
Yes.
Um, what were some things about the journey back to self that you weren't expecting to
Mm.
experience or see, um or even like or things that I shared, or teachings that I shared that you weren't expecting to learn or didn't think it was a thing? Anything come up for you?
That's a really good question. I need about a second to think about it. It's been what? Oh wow, it's been a year. Yeah, it's been a year since my journey with you. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. It just hit me. I was like, wow, yeah. We started, yeah.
Silence is fine. Take your time.
Yeah, what was I expecting? I think one of the things that I wasn't expecting, we didn't dive too deep into it, but we did touch base a little bit, was about the womb healing. Um, it's we kind of just touched base on it of like how the womb healing, like there's so many like our menstrual stuff and all these things that happens, like that actually is part of womb healing, and because there's like trauma within our womb that I don't think anyone really talks about. And I was like, what? I'm like, oh, because everyone's like, oh, you're supposed to have cramps, and it's like, no, not really. Like this really actually isn't part of that. That's one thing. The second thing that I would say that I didn't expect to talk about or to be part of like our fun work, um, was forgiving the mother and father. I think those two, I was like, whoa. I was like, we don't want to touch on that. I'm like, it was just about to be just, I'm like, oh, it's just supposed to be healing me. And it's like, well, what do you expect? Like, you are here because of your mom and your dad. Hello. So that was very interesting. To just see how that's a part of the process of the journey. And there was one more thing, and I can't remember what it was. But I'll leave it at there. If it comes back up, I'll just mention it.
Yeah, that is so funny. Maybe share with us a little bit about that work of healing the mother wound and the father wound. Like, how was that like? What was your
So that experience was interesting because I resisted it a lot. Um, Especially the father one was very difficult. I kind of started tapping into the shadow work as well. And then which that goes into talking about, what are the things that you don't like about your parents and what are like similarities or not. And so I remember one night I was writing, and this was after we had like I had already finished the academy. I started writing down like the things that annoy me of my dad. And I was like looking and I was like, oh crap. I was like, that's what I do. I'm like, this is why it annoys me. I'm like, stop. I was like, what? I was like, no. So that was just like, oh man. As for the healing the mother wound, um, I ended up doing the exercise about writing a letter to my mom. Um, and I didn't get the chance to read it to her because even in that moment when I was there, like I knew that reading it to her, I was gonna cry, and I didn't want to cry. And so now I wish I had, because I realized like how important that work is to do. But at the end of the day, everything happens for a purpose. But just even that, and I think learning through that series, like through that part of the journey, was then also remembering, well, not remembering, realizing That, as you mentioned, and as how you stated, is like our parents are our earth parents. Like they are humans just as us. And there is a different energy of like what is the divine mother and the divine father. And putting that into perspective, I was like, right. I was like, that makes so much sense. Like they really are also human beings. And like when I look back at pictures of her, that like her 6 months was on the 3rd of this month. And so I posted, the 6 months and the pictures that I posted, I was like, it sucks that it took for her transition for like us, and I say us, like my sisters and I, to find these pictures and bring them out, because I'm like, now I wish I would have like had these pictures and then ask her like, oh, so like, do you remember what this moment was like, like what was this? Because even for her, it was always hard to talk about her life. Like she I think she, and I didn't even know like what questions to ask. um I remember while going through the academy, I did like small interviews about of her, which I'm so glad I did, because at least I have that to hear her voice. And like, I tried to record as much as I could, take as many pictures, because I knew that like once her time was up, her time was up. But yeah, again, just that part of the healing the mother and the father wound, it's again just remembering that our parents are earth parents, and like they have their own story, they have their own trauma, they have their own pain. And like with my dad, like it's so hard for him to open up, and like we still see that right now. Like, and I just have to remember also that I have to meet him where he's at. There's a part of me that like wants him to be like, as one of them, like, dad, like it's so good to like open up and like share and yada yada. And I just have to remember that it's like I can't force that on him. And I just have to meet where he's at, and hope that I can be the best me, and then maybe one day he'll be able to open up. um the other thing from learning about the divine masculine energy, right, and like the father wound, is also seeing how I ended up taking um like my dad's energy is not the divine masculine energy. um it's like the complete opposite. And it's so interesting because since he that is the energy that I grew up with and that I saw, that is the energy that I've taken. And so trying to balance my energies is still it's still a challenge, because the divine masculine energy, it's very different to what I know.
Mm.
It's just the complete opposite, and that is my persona. And I'm like, that's not you being like the strong person. It's again just the complete opposite of what the divine masculine energy should be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for your vulnerability, Deanna, and your courage and like allowing yourself to just be. Let me say that first.
I learned it from you.
Because
This is what happens when you come into the academy. You slowly learn to be able to show your emotions and take your time.
tell us about maybe some hesitations you had before joining. Like, what was Deanna's hesitations? What was she up against with making this big leap? Because it was a leap of faith in yourself.
Yeah. Like before even signing up and all that. Let's see. What was the hesitations? The biggest one was like it took me a while to share with my family that I was doing this journey.
Yeah.
Um because again, I didn't know exactly what the reaction would be, but I had an idea because of like what I've, what I've heard and things like that. So I was very hesitant because I was like, oh, this was making me a decision for myself, without getting the opinions of my family and technically like them saying like, yeah, go for it, which is something that I tend to do. Whereas like it's hard for me to do um, something new if I don't feel like I have the support of my family.
Wow.
Um, and so being able to just push through that, because I knew I needed it, because I was like, if I don't do this now, when am I gonna do it?
Mhm.
And it's just crazy. Again, right? Everything happens when it's supposed to happen. Because who would have thought that me doing this journey last year in March was technically preparing me for the transition of my mom? Like,
Wow.
so everything happens in divine timing. And I was just like, I'm glad I ended up doing it because I was going to need it.
Mm.
Yes.
What was it like having community during your healing journey? Like during the academy, like how was it having other girls? Like how was it opening up? How was it, being in community while you're all grappling with wanting to change and transform?
Yeah. It's powerful. Because you always hear like you're not alone, you're not by yourself, like there's but when you are coming from a background of like being judged, or like if you want to do something different, the people like saying like no, like it's crazy or yada yada, just all the negatives. Being able to really be in community with other people, with other women who understand and create a space for you to just be,
Mm,
that allows you to open up even more.
mm,
Like you said right now, me being able to like cry. I'm like, I was like, it's gonna come. And I remember when I first started, like I was hesitant. I was like, I didn't want to show emotion, because for me to show emotion was weakness. It's not something powerful. It's not something good. It's not something healing. Like that means you're just weak and you can't handle things.
mm,
Um, and so just being able to share, and then to be affirmed and validated, and to know that you're not crazy, although you might be crazy to your family, and that's okay. It just, again, right, it just shows also this idea of like things can be done differently. Like they don't have to be, but you have to find what works for you. And honestly, like there's a community for practically anything and everything. And so it's finding your people. And so this academy and this community, it's like I just love it.
mm. What would you say to women that are wanting to journey back to self, but are hesitant? And this is coming from the you now that's I've been through the journey for 3 months, but also like had a hesitation before, and
Yes.
know that there could be financial hesitations. There could be again a partner not being down with the person. Like, what would you say to a woman that is like at the edge of her seat? She feels like she wants to journey, um, but just has a range of hesitations.
Yeah. So I shared this with I think the last, we did something not too long ago. I forgot what it was. And it still stands true. Like, this is the biggest investment that you can do, and it's in yourself. Like, what better person to do it for? I feel like sometimes we're taught that like, oh well, if I invest in me, or if I spend this much money on me, and I don't want to say spend money, but like you invest in yourself, like it's selfish. honestly, for women that are like at the edge of their seat and they're like, I really want to do it, but there's just some resistance, do it. If like your heart is beating fast because you're about to make that clarity call and book that appointment with Leyanne, just do it. Just do it, because honestly, what you will gain within those 3 months is going to be far more of value than what it will cost you. And honestly, like financially, you know, money comes and goes, right? It's an energy, and it's like what do you give in, it's what will come out. And at the end of the day, like those 3 months are going to pass. And that if they pass you taking the time to be a better you, or did they pass you still with that worry? You know, just do it. Like I there's a way, you know. And it's like if your partner is not down, like then I'm not here to give, you know, relationship advice, but then it's like, then are they really there for you, right? Because I fully think that it shouldn't even be a partner, but just like whomever is in your circle, they're always going to want to see you thrive, even if it's something that they're like, okay, that sounds crazy, but if you feel like that's going to be good for you, I'm here for you. And my favorite phrase, which my sisters used to get annoyed with me, but now they've gotten used to it, is we're going to agree to disagree, which means it's like what
Mm.
you're saying, I see, I understand you and I hear you, or maybe I don't understand, but I hear you and it's valid. But also, what I'm saying and what I believe and what I'm thinking is also valid. And we're going to
Mm.
respect that. You know, but going back to like, whomever really wants to do this journey, please do it. Like, you will come out better, and you will end up seeing that you're not by yourself. You have someone that is going to give you that space to really help you understand whatever feelings, whatever resistance, whatever it is that you're dealing with, to take that step. That doesn't mean you're going to be, you know, 100% new and improved, or you might be in a certain area, but it's going to be that stepping stone to continue to be better and better. Because at the end of the day, like once you decide to do this self-healing journey, it's a lifetime, it's a lifestyle. Like it
Yeah.
just doesn't stop
So,
after
like,
the it's a lifestyle, because it's
we
not, you
gonna
don't
start
start it,
calling Dion in here. We got
you know. And then it's like something that I've also noticed. It's like, you know, again, my sisters think I'm crazy, but one of my sisters, you know, we're kind of like on the same like wavelength. But like I've noticed that me doing this 3 month journey, and then that has been the ripple effect. And like, um, as you know, like I love astrology. We talked about natal charts and stuff, and my sisters now. I've gotten my natal charts of my nieces and nephews. I've done theirs. Like that, by me doing this academy, it helped me to be comfortable with me. And like one of my other sisters, she still looks at me a little bit crazy, but she lets me be. When I ended up purchasing a book about your North Node, which is like your soul's mission here. You know, I told her, I was like, I know you think I'm crazy. She's like, no, she's like, but I see that like you like it and it makes you happy. And I was like, wait,
wow.
what? I was like, you know, so again, what I'm trying to say, it's like this journey may not fully heal you, or it may, right? Because everyone's journey is different, but it truly like gets you started. And it's like as you start being true to yourself, like your outside will start adapting. And
Mm.
this thought, like how I think now, it's just recent. But imagine a year ago, I started this, in a year now, like the major difference, like it's huge. So it's like invest in yourself. Like the universe, God, whomever you believe in, they will accommodate with what you like, with what your reality will look like, but you have to stay true to yourself. And I feel that this was like what the journey did for me, was to help me to get there. Um, to start that, right? Because I'm still, it's like I said, it's a lifestyle, so I'm still working
Like,
on it. But that was like the starting point. So
yeah.
yeah.
All right, last question here.
All
Because
right.
dropping the wisdom. There's so much wisdom. You're about to drop it on them.
Thank you.
So for me, the journey back to self is an internal process. And because I see it internal, I know that everyone's having a different journey back to self. How would Diana describe her journey back to self? What did you return to? what is that journey to self? Like what is that for Deanna?
I would say the biggest thing that comes up to me right now, it's like um going back to baby Diana, right? To that inner child. I
Yeah.
remember when I did one of the exercises and being able to really dive deep and like see see me when I was a baby. But just seeing like what was that pain, I was like, oh shit. I was like, this is crazy. And from that day on, that's when I vowed. I said, I'm never leaving you alone. Like, I got you. So really going back to like that, whatever it was that I've been blocking, because there's so much that I've blocked and so much that I'm still um, trying to unblock, but it'll come when it's supposed to come.
Lifestyle.
Yes. And like you see, I mean, you even shared it with us during our journey, right? It's like you heal one thing and then a new thing comes and you're just like, you're thinking it's done. You're like, oh, I healed it. I'm good to go. And it's like, no, no, no. So now okay, great. So now we can go to the next chapter. But yeah, just going back to baby Diana and trying to work from there, because that is how I'll be able to continue to love and accept myself and see where like the changes were, the changes that happened in my life and what made me who I am now.
Mm.
Right, because what was that trauma that created me to block and to like put these walls. So I'll say that just definitely going back to little me.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Deanna. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for just saying yes to coming on here and being an interviewee.
Yes,
Uh,
no, thank you. I mean, it was an honor and it's been an honor. I mean, I couldn't have picked, well, I guess my soul picked you, right? Because consciously, I don't know if I did, but
we
for
pick
you to be
each
my
other.
coach. So
Yeah. Mm. Thank you so much.
thank
It was
you.
wonderful journeying with you and continuing to journey together.
Yes.
Thank you, y'all, for tuning in, listening in. Deanna, how can they find you? If people are interested in just like connecting with you some way, they feel they like your energy, they're like, I want to connect with this girl some more. How do they find you?
Sure. So on Facebook, I'm just under Diana Argueta, and I'll spell that out. Diana, Diana, last name Argueta, Argueta. On Instagram, give me a second, because I'm like, what is my Instagram? You
Gotta
would
get
think,
the right handle. Give us
right?
the right.
So on Instagram, you can find me under V as in Victor. Look at me, Jesus. D, P as in Patty, B as in Victor, A as in Apple, _5. Feel free to message me there. Yeah, and I really hope that whomever sees this, that your soul is like, this is the message. If you're looking for a sign, this is your sign.
Yay, ashe to that. Um, yeah, so we are out of here. There should be more interviews. If this is the first one you're watching, there is more coming in, or maybe more already came out. Definitely check out the other ladies in upcoming interviews. Peace, y'all. Enjoy. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.